PlayStation 2 is simply something I will never get sick of, no matter what year it is. It's really just a console that has amazing games that have aged incredibly well, to be honest with you. It seemed like every month that the PS2 was in its cycle that you could find a game to play and enjoy. There was really no time in the history of the system you would get bored playing it. I think the only thing more consistent than the PS2 is a cup of vanilla from Baskin-Robbins. I still don't know how they do it. It's been over 25 years, damn it, that's a long time. It's been over 25 years that this has been out, and it still feels like this is one of the best consoles to play. And it's not even just anything to do with sitting down and playing on an actual PS2. There's so many different ways to play it now. One of the really good ways to play, at least in my opinion, is on your phone. On your phone. I still find that very strange and weird, but in a good way, because if you were to ask me when I was a lot younger if I was going to possibly imagine a situation where way later in the future PS2 would be playable on my cellular device, I'd have no idea what was going on. That would just be something I would never think would ever be possible, and here we are. It seems like at this point in time too, PS2 emulation on Android is getting pretty solid. NetherSX2 has probably been the most consistent way to play PS2 on your Android device. In fact, it's actually gotten quite a bit better over just this last year, I think. And can you believe it? There is actually a new revelation in the PlayStation 2 emulation scene for Android. In ARMSX2. No, I'm just honestly excited to see this. I didn't even see this was even a thing until like way after it came out, so I'm late. One of the really good things about the PlayStation 2 emulation scene is... What was I saying? One of the really good things about the PS2 emulation scene on Android is that I like the fact you can go into it and you pretty much know it's going to be like at least a manageable experience. It's not going to be something where you probably don't have a chance to play anything. There's been definitely times where I thought it was for some stupid reason, even though it's probably not even possible. I thought I was going to be able to go into whatever experience it was from whatever generation, play something on my Android, and it was going to work. Boy, was I wrong. So it's time to sit down because I'm not going to sit down, but it's just maybe if you wanted to sit down, you can, I'm going to set up NetherSX2 and ARMSX2 and see what's going on, if I can notice really any big changes. And to be honest with you, I'm just kind of excited to use ARMSX2 for the first time because I really didn't hear about this until way after it released. I like the fact that it's on the Google Play Store because NetherSX2 I think still isn't. You have to get it from the GitHub page. It's not like that's a big deal or something, but just the fact that you can, it's free. Both of them are actually, but you can just go right to the Google Play Store and not, worry about something weird happening or something. All right, what's next? Hello and welcome to the next part of the video. So ARMSX2 actually has quite a nice website, to be honest. I keep saying to be honest, but it's okay to be honest. I guess one very important note is that you have to make sure you go to the right website. That is kind of a problem for some of them I've seen. You don't want to go to the wrong one. You want to go to an imposter website. The one you want to go to is .net, not .com, .net. And of course, one of the most important things that you need to find out when you are on one of these web pages is the compatibility. There's not a lot for this. There's only at least at the time of this video, there's only 48 games that have been listed on the compatibility, unless there's another source somewhere. And I'm actually kind of surprised which games are considered perfect. God of War 1 and 2 are in the perfect column, which that's incredible, man. Resident Evil 4 is also in that category too, which that's 3 games, 3 insane PlayStation 2 titles that are already apparently perfect on this. That's impressive. That's probably worth even trying to play some of the games that might not be considered perfect, but maybe even playable. Maybe even some of the ones that are considered in-game. So I definitely want to take a look at that. So to set this up is actually quite easy. It's actually maybe the easiest... Sorry. It's probably one of the easiest things of all time. As I mentioned, it is on the Google Play Store. And it is free. That's the most important thing maybe too. It just comes down to downloading it. You have to make sure you download it. This actually took a little bit to install. I don't know if my phone is basically turning into cream cheese over here, but it's not something that I thought would take this long, but that's all right. So usually the first thing you have to do when you, or at least just from what I remember, is you have to get a BIOS. Here we are again, where I cannot simply mention where you can get that because it's not possible. It really is. Like, I didn't know the severity of it at one point, but you really can't be going around saying where to get, at least publicly. So now we just have to include the BIOS in this, or add the BIOS. That was the wrong word to use probably, but just add the BIOS to this, and then we should be on to the next part. You should just be able to add a directory for this, yeah, and if you have a bunch of games already on your phone or something, you probably should just make a folder. Name it PlayStation 2 games or PS2 games, and then you can just add the directory, and then every time you add more games into it, it'll just add it to this. So that's done. Everything is, that's it. Jesus. Of course, we do need to set up some settings, like if we want to upscale anything or just change anything around, we can do that. I don't want to crank up the resolution or something like that to a point where my phone is going to be basically catching on fire or something, but for the most part, if I'm playing on Android, I don't really mind if it's just even like the native resolution. God, I can't believe how easy this setup process is. I mean, it's probably not that difficult for many things like this, but this was like shockingly easy. This is probably more easy than catching herpes from Applebee's. I didn't really know what I was going to have to do, but I probably just made up in my mind it was going to be hard when it's really simple. Jesus, we might be good to go. We just have to change some things around if you want to... Oh, of course we have to set up the controller. Yeah, you just have to really just go to the mapping part and then pick which button you want to match to the specific button, and then you're good to go. You can even use the on-screen display buttons, which I kind of find to be a nightmare. Usually the ones where you have to use the analog stick for a little bit, or the left one, or a little bit. I don't know why I said that. Like using it consistently like a racing game or something, it is impossible to control. So I guess there's really nothing else to do right now than to test some games. That's the main point of this damn video that I'm standing here right now, is to test some games on this to see if they work. So the games I have is Flat Out 1. Gran Turismo 4 actually was one that I didn't mention, which I believe is considered perfect, or at least playable, which again is impressive. Urban Reign, I like that game. And God of War 2. I don't usually play that game, so I really have no idea what I'm doing. This is not considered a perfect game. This is not considered something where you should go into it. And actually, it's probably worth noting too that you can check the notes on the compatibility page. Whenever a game I notice on like PlayStation, or just a PlayStation 2 emulation thing on Android, whenever it doesn't work, it always just runs like half speed. It's never like, or at least, I don't know, I actually have tested quite a few games on PS2 for this, or on, I said that wrong, but I've tested a lot of PlayStation 2 games emulation-wise on Android in the past, and none of them are like so broken that they don't even load up or something. They don't have a black screen. Everything looks weird or something. They just run slow. It's very strange. And this is exactly what's happening with Flat Out right now, is that it's kind of I don't know if this is half speed. It's probably like 0.75. Again, I'm not going to sit here and criticize this because this is absolutely new and it's not even fair to criticize. This is absolutely something that is going to improve, I'm assuming. And sometime in the future, I don't know when that's going to be, but absolutely sometime in the future, this is probably going to be a lot better. Interestingly enough, this seems to be the same case for God of War 2. Yeah, kind of. One of those things where maybe it's the most notable thing, or noticeable things of all time, but it is a tiny bit slower than what it should be. This could be something too where if you like really progress in the story, maybe it's not that bad, because I've had that happen too. It might start off slow and then get better. So maybe this is something where if I sat here for hours and played this game, but just from like the very small time that made any damn sense, the small portion of time I've played this game, it's still kind of running a bit slow. I can't believe I've never in my life really played any of the very early God of War games. Like, I think the first one I played in my life may have been, I don't even know, may have been Ragnarok. I may have played God of War 3 at one point, because there was a remaster, I think, on PS4, wasn't there, or something like that? I may have played that forever ago. I'm not really sure when that was, but it was either God of War 3 Remaster or Ragnarok, which is unbelievable, really. Okay, here is the good news. Gran Turismo 4 is working. It's having a little bit of visual problems, maybe, but the game is running smooth. I was kind of panicking, to be honest, because I was worried that no games would work. And then what the hell is the point of what's going on right now? Gran Turismo 4, if you want to just ignore everything that's happening visual-wise, is quite playable. This is very fun, actually. I always found this game, Gran Turismo 4, to be very challenging because, damn, if you don't brake at the right time, you are going right into the damn wall and you're screwed. Very good news as well is games like Urban Reign and Resident Evil 4 worked quite well too. Both of them. Or I just said that. Especially Resident Evil 4, like that was the same thing, or that not even the same thing, that was even better. There was no visual problems, everything performance related worked fine. This was almost flawless, or maybe even have been flawless. It wasn't something where I played it for a long time. It's just, I played it for a little bit, everything seemed to work. Same with Urban Reign. So this is good news. We have games working like well on this. This is not something where you're basically going into this praying something will work. You can get away with playing some of these games. That needs to be applauded. Already, we're having really good games listed. If we get like Vice City or San Andreas or something like that listed, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I'm telling you, even if this isn't even that old or something, right? Like in a couple of months, I don't know how long it's going to be, but even if sometime in the near future, just whatever it is, if you just get a bunch of those games working, that's going to be awesome. So I guess the only thing to do now is to compare. It's probably best just to compare NetherSX2 and ARMSX2 because that really would just make sense. Now, this is something too where I think since the last time I downloaded it, it has changed for the better. I think before you had to patch something. If I'm not mistaken, you had to patch the APK or something. All you have to do is go to the GitHub page, download the link, and then it installs, and that's it. Or at least that's all I did. I don't know if I missed something. Something like that's improving. It's nice that like performance things and visual bugs and everything improve, but just in terms of the actual way you get it installed on your damn phone is improving, is amazing. So this is kind of the same thing, honestly. This is basically just you get it. You have to get your BIOS, which again, I'm sorry, I can't say. And then once you do that, you have to basically find the directory of PlayStation 2 games you have, add it, and you're good to go. Of course, you might want to change some settings around. You have to set up your controller and everything. I have to do the mapping for this. Again, I don't know if it's just my controller or something, but it seems like whenever I connect this, it always seems like the buttons are messed up. So I have to go through the mapping process, but that takes like 30 seconds. Really, the thing about NetherSX2 is that, just from what I remember now, every game that I'm going to be playing is probably going to work quite well. The whole point of this is, I think I was saying I'm going to test and compare it, or did I say that? But really comparing this to ARMSX2 really doesn't make any sense because NetherSX2 is probably clearly going to be way better. Or maybe not, like Gran Turismo 4 worked, Urban Reign worked, Resident Evil 4 worked. Maybe like they're the same, right? I guess. But in terms of God of War 2 and Flatout, they worked flawlessly. I said that word way too many times this video, but they worked fine on NetherSX2. Not only that too, I think I didn't mention this before either, but sometimes I have noticed too that even if the game runs well, there might be like sound problems or something, right? Like the game might not be synced to the music or just like the actual in-game sound or something. I wasn't really paying attention to that. Like I was playing these games with the sound on and everything. I don't think that was really a problem with both of them. In terms of sound, was working quite well. So here we have NetherSX2 in terms of, I guess, the first two games I tried, which was Flatout and God of War 2. They work basically fine. It's interesting for the next ones because Gran Turismo 4 does work very well on NetherSX2, but you don't have like the visual problems with it either. Whereas on ARMSX2, there is kind of those visual problems you get at times, or just maybe even the whole time. I don't know if I noticed it the whole time, but definitely at certain points there was an issue. The performance was almost identical, if not 100% identical. You couldn't really tell the difference between that, which is impressive. I don't think there was a singular game that I played on NetherSX2 that didn't work. I'm trying to remember, because maybe this specific time I didn't play a million games or something, but the last time I used NetherSX2, which was last year, and I remember, I think I maybe even played almost 30 games, and I don't even remember which ones didn't work well. NetherSX2 is very, very good, but ARMSX2 is not bad either. I think probably the most sensible thing to say is that ARMSX2 is early. It's in its early stages. We don't have to really say anything. I don't know how much better it's going to be. I think it may have even been the same thread that I think I saw someone say that they wouldn't be surprised if ARMSX2 ended up being better whenever it was basically in its best form. I think I think I said that, but it really just comes down to, in total, really just the overall look of PlayStation 2 emulation on Android is very impressive. Where we're at right now, 2026, and you can play some of the best PS2 games on your damn phone. I say this every single time I do something on my Android in terms of this, but I feel like out of every generation, this one specifically, like PS2, GameCube, these are like the most fun games to play on an Android device. It just, I don't know what it is. I'm talking over maybe even some of the old Nintendo consoles and everything. That's how I feel, maybe. PS2, GameCube, those are like the two consoles I enjoy playing the most. Or actually, hold on, PSP, PS Vita as well, I should say that. You know what, man? I can't find anything bad to say. I can't. I like being positive. There's too much negativity. If you're on social media for like 5 seconds, your brain starts melting. I'm pissed off as much as the next person. Like, I find myself more pissed off than a lot of people are, and I've always been like that. I don't like seeing as much negativity as I've been seeing on social media lately. I just hate it. I'm getting sick of it, to be honest. I'm about to throw my damn phone out the window. I might do it. I might snap one day and do that, and I will never look back. I feel like I was going to end this by saying something that was actually important. Now I don't remember because I got off topic. You know what's really good? Free megs. Goodbye.